I am very grateful that we are finally, just in the last couple of years, talking about what it is to be empathic. Mostly the struggles of being an empath. I'm grateful because empaths are being seen. They're finally being seen, and their experiences are being heard. And I think that's really important. You know what else is really important? Talking about what makes an empath so intuitively powerful. And that's what I want to start talking about. That's the conversation I want to have. So let's do that today. And if you're new to this channel, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and click subscribe and the notification button, because I want you notified of new videos coming out. All of my videos are built, created to empower you on your spiritual journey. Your intuitive channel, let's get that opened up wide. The internal guidance happening because everyone is intuitive, including you. And every time we dive into these topics, it opens up more and more and more of your spiritual path. All right, empaths, here we are. You heard the word intuitive power connected to being an empath. And you might have already had some connections to it, but I want to talk about it today in a little bit more depth. I, again, am so excited that people are finally recognizing what it is to actually be an empath. People don't conceptualize. If they're not an empath, they don't know what it is to carry other people's emotions that you didn't ask for. They don't know what it is and to feel on such a deep level. And it's very natural for humans to see the world through their lens. It's more difficult for people to see the world through someone else's lens. And empaths are almost forced to do that. So now you've got this pile where an empath not only is really sort of open to experiencing somebody else's experience and emotions in a situation, which not all the time they want to be, but now they're saying to other people, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, and it's hard and it's difficult. And other people are going, yeah, I don't get it, but okay. So it's important as an empath, it's really important to connect with other empaths. I really feel strongly about that. One of the reasons why I started the Sage Circle community, because there's literally an empathic group in there where people can be like, okay, I'm not alone. You know, this happened, and yes, I'm not alone. The other reason why I've created the Empathic Empowerment course, the circle, is to give empaths the tools to be able to honor who they are as an empath, not change who they are as an empath, but be able to use tools in such a way to use their empathic abilities for their highest good, for the highest good of the people that they're with, for them to be able to find balance and then again turn it around, that balance that they've found through these tools, find that balance and then be able to turn it around and bring that out into the world and use it. Here's the thing. You're not an empath for no reason. You are an empath for a reason. You came down here with that particular alignment in your spiritual body. And there's a purpose behind it. The hard part is when you put that alignment of empathic abilities into a physical body with a programming mind on linear time, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. So, like I said in the beginning, I'm very excited that people are talking about empaths and the struggles that they go through. You walk through a random store and feel the sadness of loss from somebody 2 aisles over. And it's like, I don't have any loss in my life, but here I am feeling loss. It would be very similar to if somebody just walked up to a non-empath and said, I'm not feeling good, so I'm going to punch you in the face. And the non-empath is like, that hurt. Yeah, you got punched just because you were near me. This is the part that it's hard for people to understand who are not empaths. And for empaths, a lot of empaths are saying, finally, people are starting to hear that this is what it's like to walk into a room and It's one thing for most everyone to pick up the vibe of a room, to pick up the feeling of what's going on in that room, but it's a completely different thing when you're an empath, because you walk in the room, you pick up the vibe, you kind of get a feel for what's going on in the room, like most people, not everybody, but most people. But on top of it, as an empath, you actually feel the emotions of it as if they were yours. So this is just one of many empathic experiences that people are talking about. But again, I want to go back to the power of this, to the empowerment piece of this. And this is what I want to start talking about. This is what I want to start talking about. I want to start talking about the superpower you have as an empath and start to recognize it. Say it out loud. Again, I built the Sage Circle community. I'll put a link in here because if you're an empath, it's a great place for you to be. I built the community so other empaths can talk to each other and recognize the superpower within each other and support that process. Then I also built the Empathic Empowerment course, which is part of the whole package as well. Again, I'll put a link in here, but I built the Empathic Empowerment course not only to recognize the difficult path that an empath walks, but to discuss in depth how to use tools to be able to take that empathic alignment, pull it back into the spiritual body, and then expand it out into the world as an ability. So being an empath is difficult, but my message today is that it's also a superpower. So, and when you figure out how to use that superpower, okay, first, we're going to figure out how to protect ourselves. So I'm going to cover that today. I want to cover as empaths, and this might be a little bit of a review because I got to tell you, a lot of empaths that I've met have already tried a lot of different protection practices. So I'm just going to go over one here today. That is my favorite one, GCP. If you're not using it yet, I'll just go over it really quickly and I'll give you some more free instruction. I'll point you to a video that has more free instruction on it. But a lot of empaths have already been trying to find different things. So step one, as an empath, protect your energetic space. And there is a way to do that that doesn't feel like it's going to fail and doesn't feel like it's going to get broken through and doesn't feel like it's not going to work. There is a way to do that. And then two, I want to talk about your empathic connection and alignment and how that can come out intuitively as a ripple effect into the world. That is what I'm hinting toward when I talk about, as an empath, your superpower. So let's start with the protection piece. Part of an empath's experience is that, like, it's almost as if channels come in. When you interact with another person, even a stranger, it's almost like a channel opens up and their energy swirls through that channel, and thus you experience that energy as if it's your own, aka experience that emotion as if it's your own. This is the struggling part. So what we want to do is we want to set up a protection practice that doesn't isolate you, that doesn't stop you from experiencing your empathic superpower, but also doesn't drain you, wipe you out, land you on the couch for 4 days, turning your phone off, right? So GCP is my favorite one. If you're watching this, if you followed me for a while, I know you probably already do it. Actually, post in the comments about, yeah, I do GCP. And you know what? Actually, yeah, put something in the comments for me about what positive thing has come into your life as a result of doing GCP. Because it's really going to help others to see, oh, okay, this 2-minute practice that I can do every day, which is free, you don't need anything to do it, is really powerful and can be a game changer when it comes to walking on your spiritual path. So if you have a second, jump into the comments and please post that for me so others can see that GCP is a really wonderful and powerful thing. Now, I have a full video to train on GCP and how to do it and all the ins and outs and why it works and everything else, but here's the compacted version. So if you hear nothing else, this is going to help move you forward. GCP stands for ground, clear, protect. Grounding is where you ground into Mother Earth. The short of it is all you need to do is close your eyes, ask Mother Earth to please anchor you and ground you, because The deeper you ground, the higher you can go with stability. That's number one, grounding. Number two, clearing. I want you to pick your favorite element, not the way anyone else has told you to clear. I want you to pick your favorite element, water, fire, whatever that might be. And I want you to imagine. You don't have to put pressure on yourself for this to be an intuitive experience. This is an intent experience. I want you to imagine that element pouring through your body all the way through you, washing away, burning away, blowing away, whatever your element is, all that is not yours to carry. Do not put the burden on yourself of having to figure out, well, which parts should I clear out? Nope, nope. All you got to do is set the intent of, if it's not mine, it's gone. If it's not mine, it's out of here. And then picture or feel that element pouring through you. That's number two. Number three is protect. I want you to create a bubble around you. Make it thick if you want to, but an energetic bubble. It can be a certain color, it can be a certain feel, and that bubble surrounds you, and it is a filter. Now, empaths, here's where the powerful part is, right? This bubble is a filter that is commanded by you. This bubble around you is your bubble. It's no one else's, it's yours. You've created it. And it's a filter. This is a bubble that you can program verbally, saying exactly what you want to allow to come through. If you don't want to get too detailed, all you have to say is, only that which is for my highest good shall be allowed to come in. Everything else is not allowed to come into this bubble. And again, in the GCP video, I go into a lot of depth about why this works and how it connects to the spiritual body and what happens in this agreed upon reality for it. But the bottom line is, the power of this exercise comes from your intent. And as an empath, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to maybe even think about all those times that you just wanted to go do something and it was too much. It was just too much for you. I want you to maybe even let yourself think of that frustration, of how it felt and how just you sat down and you shook your head and you're like, oh, this is hard being an empath. I want you to take that feeling and I want you to put it out in that bubble and say, no, boundary set. That bubble is my boundary. Now, this is the protection practice, and the good news is that you can set up a filter all day long. What is supposed to come through will come through because your spirit's driving the car. You know what I mean? But what we're doing here for an empath is the programming body. Our mind on linear time is recognizing the energetic body, recognizing the empathic alignment within your spiritual body. When you're recognizing that, and again, this practice takes like 2 minutes at the most. Once you do it every day, at least once a day. I tell people do it once in the morning, once at night, or anytime you want to. You can do it as often as you want, but at some point, the practice becomes a 10-second practice where all you have to do is just sort of close your eyes and you can feel all the steps. I do this practice when I'm going into a store, when I'm, going out to do things, just so I don't pick stuff up. And my empathic abilities are considerably lower than a lot of the students that I work with. So it's very empowering to watch them use this practice and be like, wow, I am picking up only 10% of what I was picking up before, and I can see with more perspective. Now let's take this practice, start doing it every day for like a week, right? And see what happens. And you can even read the comments on what other people have had experiences with the GCP. But GCP is going to give you a new lens, a new perspective, breathing space. And if you're an empath, you know what I mean when I say breathing space. Now, let's talk about your superpower. So do this practice for a week first, right? But then you'll start to feel, wait a minute, I'm an empath for a reason. I'm an empath for a reason. And how your empathic abilities were used previously, they're still going to be used as empathic abilities, but in a slightly different way. Before you did this practice with GCP, you would sit down with a friend and they were heartbroken, and you would feel their energy and you would feel some of their emotions. And you might already know this, but as an empath, you're taking some of their emotions off of their shoulders for them. You're smoothing their transition by showing up and carrying some of that energy for them. So then you think, okay, well, wait a minute, Bo, does this mean that if I start doing GCP, then I'm not going to be able to help my friend like that and carry some of their burdens? Because I identify as, someone that does that. That's my thing. I help my friends. I show up, I sit there, and I support them, and I carry some of that burden. That's how I help. Don't ask me to stop doing that, Bo. I'm not asking you to stop doing that. What I'm asking you to do is do GCP first, and then step in, and then do the same thing you did before. What you will experience is that your superpower, your empathic ability, is still functioning fully. But instead of internally carrying the emotions in your energetic system, you are going to help pull away some of that from the person, but you're going to hold it here, outside of your self. Instead of pulling it all the way in, by doing this practice of GCP, you can still show up, you can still recognize, you can still lift their vibration by releasing some of their emotions and energy that is slowing them down, stopping them on their path. This is your superpower. But you don't have to take it all the way in. You can still help them to release simply by showing up or being in their presence, but you don't have to take it all the way in, right? Now, I have brought this up in here, this empathic empowerment course. I'm going to bring it up again because this is one of my courses that I get a lot of feedback where people say, this just completely helped. This changed my life. This is like, this changed this. I can go do this. I can show up. I can be present. I'm still lifting up other people just by being in the vicinity and listening to them and being with them, but I'm not being emotionally destroyed by it. And that is the sweet spot, because here's where we'll wrap it up. The whole process of being an empath is something that I lovingly say, you signed up for. You said, I'm coming down with empathic wiring. That's how I'm gonna be. But being in this human existence, that empathic wiring coming through your programming, of the programming you received as a kid, maybe lack of boundary setting that we weren't given as a kid, or the how we were taught to just take it or not say anything or be quiet. All of those things piled on top of that empathic alignment within your spirit causes chaos within you. So please do GCP just for like a week. Just do it for like a week, right? If you really want to dive in and you're like, yeah, I'm an empath and I really want to be able to thrive being an empath, please look into the course. Please look into the course. I say that with all my love in my heart, because like I said, I've gotten so much feedback on it, and it lines everything up and it dives into that superpower of yours, that you're here. And you have awareness, especially if you're watching this video, you were drawn to it, you have awareness, you are probably practicing setting boundaries, you're probably practicing saying no, you're probably practicing releasing and not carrying energies. You're probably already doing a lot of that. Now let's put it into a structure. Let's fast forward you. Do GCP for a week. See what happens. See what happens. Start to see how empathic abilities aren't squashing you anymore, but are instead your way to help the world and the people around you without diminishing your energetic space. Okay, jump in. Try it for a week. Mwah. If this video resonated with you, I want you to jump over here and watch this next one, because this video is going to help even further to manage the energetic connections between you and others. It's a beautiful thing.